Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Erling Haaland could replace Edison Cavani in the summer. According to reports in Argentina, Edison Cavani wants to leave Manchester United in the summer after just a season. And he's rejected the contract extension. Cavani wants to join Boca Juniors on a 3-year contract. He's willing to take a pay cut. It says we will hold talks with Edison Cavani over his future. Earlier on this season, it said that Cavani wanted to stay at Man United beyond this season, and Solskjaer said he was set for contract extension talks. Cavani has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. He's scored 7 goals in 20 odd games. He creates chances, his hold-up play is good, his movement in and out of the box is good. We got him on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a 2nd year. Didn't play any part against Man City. Cavani's recently been out with injury. I would love Man United to sign Erling Haaland, because Erling Haaland is a player that would assure us goals. Plus, it would be beneficial to recommend Erling Haaland in because he knows Ole Gunnar Solskjaer well. Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. Erling Haaland is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's #1 transfer priority. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he's following Erling Haaland's progress, and he said prior to the game against Real Sociedad, he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. Back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Now, there's been quite a lot of clubs in for him. We're interested in him. Chelsea are interested in him. Chelsea recently said they are convinced they can get Erling Haaland, and it says they was willing to offer him a financial package. It actually said though Haaland wasn't interested in going to Chelsea. Liverpool have been interested, but reflecting now poor Liverpool have been, I don't see them getting Haaland. Man City have been in for him. Bayern Munich are in for him because Sky Sports recently said they refused to rule out a move for him. If Dortmund will demand in the excess of £100 million if Haaland is sold in the summer. Next year, he's available for £68 million. That's when his release clause becomes active. Hamann, the former Liverpool midfielder, recently said Haaland would suit Man United better than Manchester City. He explained why. His agent Mini Oriola a few weeks ago revealed that there's only 4 Premier League clubs that can afford Erling Haaland. Since his arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. So that's the news on that. This year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. And I'm hopeful that the board back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the summer transfer window. Now, the board back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anyway. Woodward recently did a statement after our latest financial figure results. He says the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. Woodward's come out several times to support Solskjaer, even when we're enduring them really bad periods under him. He came out and assured that Solskjaer's job was safe, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. So far, Solskjaer has endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. He's spent around £260 million. He's brought players like Dan James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. Also bought Bruno Fernandes in, brought Odion Ighalo in on loan. Odion Ighalo's no longer at the club though, because he left in January. He also brought the likes of Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Palestri and Amad Diallo Traore. So he has made some good signings, but as yet he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. Solskjaer, quite a few weeks ago now, give us an update on our transfer plans for the summer transfer window. He said he's only interested in bringing in players that would be a perfect fit for the club. And he sent a transfer warning to Man United fans saying we won't be very active in the summer transfer window due to the coronavirus pandemic. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is here to stay, like I mentioned yesterday. A new contract is incoming for him. I think Man United are set to hand him a new 3-year contract. Earlier on this season, it said that Solskjaer's future was in doubt because he admitted that nobody had spoke to him over a new contract. But it actually said early on this season we'll wait until the end of this season to begin contract talks with Solskjaer. Ole is into the final 18 months of his current contract. We recently had a very, very good win against Man City, beating them 2-0 at the Etihad Stadium. Obviously, it was goals from Bruno Fernandes from the penalty spot, and Luke Shaw scored and Marcus Rashford got an assist. But it was a very good performance by Manchester United. We ended Man City's 21 match winning run, and we are unbeaten in 22 away games now in the Premier League. That is a record. But Solskjaer admits we are still too far behind City, to be in the title race. Because we are still 11 points behind them despite beating them 2-0. It was actually the first big team we'd beaten in the Premier League this season. But in the summer transfer window, I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings. You know the news on Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. We could still get him. The news on Raphael Varane. There has been narratives coming out saying that Real Madrid are prepared to sell Raphael Varane in the summer. Back in 2018, Woodward was prepared to sanction a £100 million move for Varane. Raphael Varane is valued at £61 million. The AS said the other week that talks over extending Raphael Varane's deal have not settled. I'd certainly take Raphael Varane at Manchester United. You know, he's a very, very good centre-half. He's highly experienced and he'd go very, very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. Raphael Varane's been a long-serving player at Real Madrid. He's been with them 10 years. He's won 18 major honours and he's made over 300 appearances. Real Madrid paid €10 million for him from Lens back in 2011. We're going to offload players in the summer transfer window. That'll help us with our rebuilding process and of course we will generate money. I think there's a good chance that Juan Mata will leave the football club in the summer. Because Juan Mata doesn't even get in our team. Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Real Sociedad that he's not surprised that Juan Mata is linked to a move away from the club. He's actually out with injury at the moment. There's 3 Italian clubs that have been in for Juan Mata. Earlier on this season, he rejected an $18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. But I think he's had a good career at Man United. You know, he's been at the club over 6 years. We got Juan Mata in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Now, I have been saying to you a lot that we should sell Anthony Martial in the summer transfer window. A lot of United fans have said the same thing. But Martial put a very, very good performance out against Man City. You know, he had 2 fantastic chances, should have converted at least one of them. But if them performances can persist from now, I'll change my perception on Martial and say, no, don't sell him in the summer. Keep him potentially past the summer. I've been very, very critical of him this season because for the vast majority of this season, Martial has been out of form. But you know, Solskjaer did say that he's been impressed with Anthony Martial's work rate. And he's backed him to actually rediscover his form. Martial was good last season and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial has been at the club over 5 years. If we did sell him in the summer, I think we'd get around 30 million. Cavani, like I said, looking like he's going in the summer. Matic, you know, there's a chance we could sell him in the summer. Because Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances. And he can do well in some games, but as you all know, I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player and plus he's ageing up. Matic has been at the club now almost 4 years. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Eric Bailly, do you think we could offload him in the summer? I think we're set to have talks over his future. Nah, I don't think we should sell Eric Bailly because Bailly's a very, very good centre-half, but he is injury prone. So in that aspect, he is a liability. Yeah, we could be selling David De Gea in the summer transfer window. So we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper. We value De Gea at £50 million. Solskjaer's already warned De Gea that his number 1 jersey is under threat. He's obviously not available at the moment due to personal reasons. So reflect on that, Henderson's going to be getting a run of games. The Sun recently said that PSG want David De Gea because Pochettino's looking for a number 1 to replace Keylor Navas. De Gea's got like 2 years left on his contract at Man United and he's on £375,000 a week, which is a substantial amount. This is De Gea's 10th season at Man United, so he has been a long servant. A few years ago, he was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world, but in the last couple of years, he's made calamitous mistakes, and reflecting on that, he's become a liability. Back in 2015, De Gea was close to joining Real Madrid, but due to a fax machine, the deal never materialised. But Solskjaer has been facing a goalkeeping dilemma. Solskjaer said a few weeks ago he's prepared to sell either De Gea or Dean Henderson in the summer. We can't sell Dean Henderson, we've got to keep him. Dean Henderson's done very, very well in the games he's played in this season. Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number 1 because he's got that experience behind him and he's got a lot of development in him. There was narratives coming out a few weeks ago saying that Dean Henderson had threatened to quit the club if he's not assured the number 1 role. And we revealed our asking price. It was £40 million. Solskjaer did admit, though, early on this season that it's becoming more and more difficult to leave Dean Henderson out of the side. Do you think we'll offload Axel Tuanzebe in the summer? Because Tuanzebe, he doesn't get in our team. I heard rumours of him possibly going out on loan. I've been saying I want Lindelof sold as well, because I said I don't think he's good enough to represent Man United. Lindelof put a good performance out against City, and if them performances can persist, then I'll change my perception on Lindelof, saying keep him potentially past the summer. So it's the exact same thing what I said of in regards to Anthony Martial. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does deserve credit in quite a few aspects. I think he deserves credit the way he approached the game against City recently, because I thought he tactically got it spot on. We are second in the Premier League. He does deserve credit for that because no one expected us to be second with how poor we was at the first part of this season. Solskjaer's got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals. Will be a tough game against Leicester. Also got us to the Europa League last 16. Will be a tough game against AC Milan. This season as well, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final, lost to Man City 2-0. Ollie's got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in. He did well last season in his first full season at the club. Guided us to 3 semi-finals, got us qualification for the Champions League and got us a 3rd place finish. And like I said, he has made good signings since he's come in. We've also enjoyed good periods under Ollie where we've actually seen consistency. There's been some games where he's got the best out of the team and he's improved certain players. I've also got to credit him the way he has promoted the youth, because he has given a lot of young players their chances and he's recommended more young players in to the club. More or less, everybody in general has been given their chances, because Solskjaer said when he first got appointed in as Man United manager that everybody would get their chances to express themselves, including the young players. And we've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. My 2 big concerns about Ollie is his decision making, because in a lot of his games at Man United he's been tactically naive, especially in a lot of the big games. But yeah, there has been some games where he's showed tactical flexibility, but I'm hoping he can show tactical flexibility persistently. And he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager, that's my other concern. But reflecting now on Solskjaer's been at the club, he has gained some managerial experience and he's learnt quite a bit on the job. He's managed over 100 games now as Man United manager in all competitions. You know, this is his second full season at the football club. You know, if we finish second this season and we win a trophy, I'll turn around and say, look, that represents a good season for Man United and Solskjaer. That gives us something to build on going on into next season. Yeah, there's a good chance we'll finish second this season. And I've said anyway, Solskjaer needs to win a trophy at Man United to avoid the sack. Because a club of our stature need to be winning trophies, and, you know, we haven't won a trophy since 2017. Like I said, the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. But I think Solskjaer will get at least another season at Man United. Probably there's a lot of people saying he does deserve at least another season, or at least until May. Because he has been quite a lot of Man United fans that have been demanding Ollie out, and he has been criticised a few times. You know, we have actually enjoyed very, very bad periods under him where you can turn around and say he was lucky not to be sacked. Like I said, our board have got a soft stance on Solskjaer with him being a club legend. But disregarding him being a club legend, they'd have been a lot more ruthless on him. And I think if he hadn't been a club legend, he probably wouldn't have been Manchester United manager now. At one point, Mauricio Pochettino was the favourite to replace Solskjaer at the club. But yeah, he's been Man United manager now over 2 years. We appointed him in December 2018 to replace Mourinho, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. A lot of United fans said we're giving the job too soon. You know, maybe we should have waited until the end of that season to decide or not whether to give him the job. But he did well, didn't he, as the interim manager? He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions, so that's the main explanation why we're giving the job permanently in March 2019. You know, we haven't been great against the top 6 sides this season in the Premier League, but Solskjaer's beaten a few big managers. You know, he's beaten Pep Guardiola now around 5 times. You know, he's beaten Julian Nagelsmann, beaten Thomas Tuchel, Solskjaer twice. That's when he was PSG manager, Tuchel. You know, he's also beaten Jose Mourinho. So it just proves that Solskjaer can win some of the big games. But I think mistakes have been made by Man United since Ferguson retired. That's one of the main explanations why we haven't been so consistent. I've got to say our recruitment policy's been gash for a while. We've overpaid for players in recent years. None of the managers have been backed enough since Ferguson retired. You know, we spent over £1 billion on players as well in the last 7.5, 8 years. We must have brought around 37 players in since Ferguson retired. And a lot of those players haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. Maybe there's some players we've brought in who we should have kept, who we let go. 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson retired. That was David Moyes, sacked him after 10 months. You know, he enjoyed the shortest tenure at the club. He's the worst manager we've ever had. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. And we got second in his first season. I've got to say, there's good players at Man United. And there's players that have really, really improved. Dean Henderson, he's done well in the games he's played in this season. You've got Luke Shaw. He's been player of the season by far. Luke Shaw's got forward really, really well. He's got into good positions. He's put good crosses into the box. Defensively, he's been superb. Don't forget Luke Shaw scored against Man City. Luke Shaw's had a good career at Man United apart from his injuries, and he still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles last summer. Because I thought when we got Telles, he was going to be our first choice left back. And Wan-Bissaka, he's done well in quite a few games this season where he's actually showed more attacking intent. He's got into good crossing positions. His crossing's been good in some games. And defensively, Wan-Bissaka has been superb. He can defend really well, can Wan-Bissaka, but at times he can get caught out. This is Wan-Bissaka's second full season at Man United. We got him in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. I think Eric Bailly, he's done well in the games he's been involved in this season. I've got to say, Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire do complement each other well in our back line. But Eric Bailly can intercept the ball well. He can be effective in the air and he shows the ability to play out from the back. If he wasn't injury prone though, it would be much better. Harry Maguire, I think he's had some good games this season. I thought he put a good performance out against Man City despite getting booked. When Maguire plays well, he can play the ball out well from the back. He can win some good headers. He can make some very good clearances. He can be good from set pieces. But he's also enjoyed poor games. He wasn't worth the £80 million that we got him for. He's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment. The second most expensive signing at the club. I think Fred, aspects of his game have improved. Fred's passing's getting better. He's driving forward better in midfield. He can break up the play well. He's enjoyed some poor games. Fred has been at the club now a few years. We got Fred in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk a few years ago. Got to say, during his time in Ukraine, he was a world-class player. McTominay is also a decent player. He's enjoyed good games this season. McTominay is not at the level as we want him to be at as yet, but I think he could emulate to that level because McTominay has got a lot of development in him. Was it just after the first lockdown he signed a 5-year contract with Man United? Donny van der Beek, he's also a good player. That's when he plays. Most of Donny van der Beek's appearances have come from the bench when he's been involved in games. He's only started 2 games in the league. So he's played nowhere near as much as I expected. He's actually out with injury at the moment. Solskjaer made an admission earlier on this season saying that Donny van der Beek is unhappy due to his lack of game time, but he promised him more game time at Man United. We got him in a deal worth £40 million, paid £35 million up front and there was £5 million in add-ons, and Van der Beek's got a contract with the club till 2025 and he can play in 3 different roles. Paul Pogba was getting the best out of him before he sustained this thigh injury. The last game Paul Pogba played was the 3-3 draw with Everton. And you've got to say he has been a big miss because we do lack creativity in that midfield without Paul Pogba. Solskjaer recently set a new Paul Pogba return date. Solskjaer said he's hopeful Paul Pogba will be back before the March international break. Earlier on this season, Paul Pogba had an ankle injury and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. As you all know, Paul Pogba's open to staying at Man United now after making a transfer U-turn, and he's willing to discuss a new contract. Solskjaer suggested earlier on this season that Paul Pogba could sign a new contract. You know, Bruno Fernandes, he's been exceptional. You know, he's made a difference since he come in. In most of his games at Man United, he has been very, very consistent. But there has been a few games where he has looked off the pace. Marcus Rashford, he's a very good player. Sustained an ankle injury, didn't he, in the game against City, but I think he's had the scan on his ankle, and it turns out there's no ligament damage on his ankle. So the injury is not as bad as we first thought, which is good news from a Man United perspective. You know, Greenwood's also done very, very well since he broke into our first team squad, and Cavani's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. And I did say our current squad is good enough to finish at least in the top 4. So yeah. On my next video, I'll be giving you my starting 11 prediction for the game against AC Milan in the Europa League round of 16 first leg. I was supposed to be doing it on this video, but I'll do it on my next video. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.